Hey YouTube, this is Jay Michelle from Lock Your Locks and Love Your Look Hair Salon. So in this video, I wanted to talk about a dramatic transformation we did on a client recently. Now, this client admitted to not having done any type of maintenance or care for his locks for at least 7 months. And I know some of you will probably think, dang, who would go that long? But it is a common issue that some people deal with. So this client had 3 major issues. The first issue was buildup. He had tons of buildup. There was, just dirt. There's a buildup of sweat, oils that the scalp naturally produces, a lot of lint. So his buildup took 2 forms. The first of which was white sections near his roots, and this is where the oil that his scalp produces kind of traveled down the lock, and it mixed there with lint and sweat and dead skin, and it just kind of formed this white section. He also had buildup in just an overall ashy hair color. So his hair color, if you see in the pictures, it looks off. It's kind of dusty looking. So if your locks are in this situation where no matter how much you moisturize it, how much oil you put on it, it always looks off, it could be that you have some buildup. So the second issue was that his roots were completely matted together. Now, I know that some of you out there will say, what's wrong with that? Maybe you're free-forming. There's nothing wrong with your roots being matted together. But that combined with tons of buildup is a problem. Because to really get all of the dirt and buildup out, you have to separate it. Otherwise, there'll be pockets where the hair is actually locked around dirt. Okay? So this was an issue. Like if I tugged right here, this part moved. His entire roots were matted together. So the third issue was the length and the weight of his locks. You can see that his locks are very long. And the longer your locks get, the heavier they are. The more stress and tension they put on your roots. I knew that once I separated the roots, they were not going to be able to carry the weight of the lock. So, on the day of his appointment, the first thing I did was cut a foot off of his hair. I know that is a lot of hair. And I cut the foot off for a variety of reasons. There's no point in doing any type of treatments and shampooing hair that's going to get cut off. I mean, it's expensive for him and it's time consuming for me. You want to cut the hair off in the beginning because you don't want a client to backtrack later. Okay, so I did that so we can go forward with the plan that we set, and we don't have to worry about any backtracking. Alright, so the next step was, before I could tackle the buildup, I had to first get his hair separated. Okay, and I don't like to pull apart roots when the hair is really dry because it will just start to snap and break off. When it's wet, you can kind of wiggle more, you can pull individual strands of hair out more so than when it's dry and it'll just pop. So to kind of soften his hair up, I gave him a steam treatment. And the great thing about the steam treatment was that it was beginning to break down the buildup. Alright, this also does tons of great things for your hair and for your skin, but my main reason for using it was to get his hair wet without completely soaking it through, and also to begin to break down that buildup. So after the steam treatment is when I tackled his root separation. Now I want to say that this is something you really need to get a professional to do, because when roots have matted together this extensively, you don't see any type of organization to it. You don't see any type of pattern or grid. It's just inches of loose hair with locks sticking out at the end. We've already made big progress. You can see how the buildup was kind of beginning to break down, and now you can see some type of definition at the roots. Okay, so next step is to finally tackle that buildup. And I did that by giving him an apple cider vinegar treatment. Now let me say this, I am not a fan of apple cider vinegar treatments. I think people use them too often. It's very harsh and abrasive on your hair. It literally strips your hair. Yes, it will get rid of the buildup, but it's also stripping your hair of the natural oils that your hair needs. Okay, it can make your hair very brittle, very dry, prone to breakage. So for those of you who are using, ACV rinses and treatments, often stop it. All you have to do is shampoo your hair regularly, and you don't have to worry about buildup. I've had my locks for 12 years now, and I've never ever had to use any of these type of treatments. Okay, so it really comes down to regular maintenance. Okay, But with him, I decided to use it because it was so much buildup. Okay, generally I prefer to do gentle treatments, get it out over the course of several visits. But for him, that just would have taken too long and it would have been too expensive. So I decided to do the apple cider vinegar treatment. And it got pretty much most of the buildup out, but it was very abrasive on his hair. So then I followed that up with a series of shampoos. We shampooed and shampooed and shampooed. It was a lot of dirt and buildup. And let me say this, when you're shampooing your hair, you have to make sure that not only are you getting your roots in your scalp, but you have to get inside of your locks, okay? A lot of times people just do the scalp. They gently, rinse over the length of the locks. You got to get it all, okay? So it was a lot of, wringing it out and scrubbing it and all of that kind of stuff to get all of that dirt out. Okay, so now I have his locks separated. I have all the buildup out. That was a lot of work. Took a lot of time. But his hair is clean, but it is so stripped. It is stripped. So I had to give him another steam treatment, this time with oils and other conditioners to soften his hair up, to put some of the moisture back into it. And the great thing about steam treatments is that it actually opens your hair up. So whatever you put on your hair actually will get inside of it. So it's kind of moisturizing it from the inside out. Okay, so the next step was the retwist. To me, this is the fun part. It's like taming the jungle. There's putting the organization back into it, because it really was just a lot of loose hair at the roots with locks sticking out. So to me, that's a lot of fun to go back and put them back in rows and things like that. Now, generally when I do these type of retwists in his situation, I'll do some repairs to the roots. Generally some type of strengthening repair, or something that forces those loose hairs to stay within their lock, to encourage the hair to lock faster. In his case, I was able to minimize a lot of breakage with how I separated his roots. The next step was to dry his hair, and then after that to use some leave-in conditioners and moisturize his scalp and locks again, just still trying to put more moisture back into it. Gave him a style and he was all done. This really was a dramatic transformation. Dramatic. He went from having tons of buildup and having his roots matted together and super long locks, to now having something that is clean, that's on its way to being healthy and strong again, and it's also manageable for him. Now, I do want to say that with these type of major repairs, it's not all done in one visit. All of the work I described to you I did in one visit, but there's a lot of follow-up aftercare that has to be done. As I say with the apple cider vinegar treatment, it really stripped his hair, so it's going to take time for his hair to get moisturized again. He's also going to deal with some frizziness at the roots as those short strands of hair integrate themselves back into the roots again. I do these type of repairs all the time, but generally people don't want to share their pictures because they're embarrassed about it. So definitely want to thank him for letting me use these pictures, because I know that there are some of you watching this video who are in the same predicament, and you can see based on his results that your hair can be fixed, it can be saved, you don't have to cut it off. Side note, if you do go somewhere and they say you need to cut them off and start over, say thank you for your time, get up and find a different loctician and see what they say.